Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com, how to make a nautical sea turtle bathroom toilet paper rack. Now these racks make a nice accent piece in a bathroom. They hold 3 or 4 rolls of toilet paper, and they can be decorated with sea turtles or fish or any other creature of your design. I started with a block of 2x6 material, and then I went to Home Depot and I got the bottom cap off of a PVC hand railing, and I'm just going to use that for the trim. In addition, I had a couple of pieces of white plastic PVC board laying around, but you could also do it with wood just as easily. So I'm using the 2x6 as the base. That's going to give us the depth that we need to support the wooden dowels. They're going to stand up and hold the toilet paper as well as holding the turtles. Those will eventually be glued into position. I drilled holes in the 2x6 as well as through that plastic base cap. The plastic cap was a little bit difficult. I couldn't drill an accurate hole, so I ended up making the holes a little oversized, and I used a Dremel grinder to kind of clean out the inside of that hole. Don't worry about the extra space. We'll fill that all in afterwards before painting. Now, because I'm using a combination of wood and plastic, I'm going to glue everything together with a 2-part epoxy. If you decide to use all wood construction, then you can just use wood glue or Elmer's glue. And the base should look like this. So you're going to have a 2x6, that cap molding, and then I used 2 pieces of plastic because one just wasn't thick enough. I didn't want it to be recessed on the surface or have a cavity that would hold water. I wanted that very top surface to protrude above the molding. Once the base is done and the glue is drying, I moved on to drawing the turtles. And I just printed out a design off of the internet and then just by eye transferred it onto a piece of 1x4 in a couple of different sizes. Once I had the rough sketch laid out on the 1x4, I just used a bandsaw to cut out the basic shape, but you could certainly do it with a jigsaw or a scroll saw. I used a disc grinder with a flap sanding wheel just to take off some material from the fins and to round off all the edges to smooth off the complete diameter, from the rough cuts from the bandsaw. And at this point, it starts taking on that 3-dimensional shape of an actual carved sculpture. This is a very, very easy process. I mean, there's not a lot of talent going on here. It's just a matter of following the lines from the drawing, cutting down the fins a little bit so that they are recessed, and then I went to back to the Dremel grinder. This time I'm using a drum sanding wheel, and it just gives me a little bit better control, sanding smooth all of those fins. I then changed bits, and I'm using a cutoff wheel in the Dremel grinder, and I'm using this to create all of the lines that are going to be on the turtle's shell. The turtles usually have a design on their shell. I just sketch that out and plunge cut into each of those, and I can also draw some lines on each of the fins just to give them a little bit of texture. Just makes the finished product look a little bit more detailed, and it's a very simple, very easy, quick process. Before long, you have the turtles cut out, and it's time to mount those. I used a 5/8 wooden dowel for this project. I used it not only for the centerpiece that's going to hold the toilet paper, but also as the uprights for the turtles. Now, I used 2 uprights on my rack. I figured I'd put turtles on both sides, but in reality, when I placed it in the bathroom, 1 would have been sufficient. Those dowels are glued in place. Again, because I'm using a combination of wood and plastic, I used 2-part epoxy, and then I also put a screw through the bottom. The turtles are held onto the dowel also with wood glue and a small screw. And of course, you pre-drill all of your holes, and then that dowel will be glued and also screwed into position on the base piece. the screw right through the bottom of that 2x6. The pre-drilled holes that went through that, the 5/8 holes for the dowel, did not go all the way through that 2x6, so there was a little bit of space at the bottom to hold the screw. Once all the glue is dry, you can paint the piece as desired. I basically just painted the turtles green. I painted the base, and the dowels white. I, of course, used caulk on all of the spaces on that base to fill in any of the spaces and cracks. That's how the base looks. And then I added a little bit of detail just with a black Sharpie. I drew in the eyes and the mouth and the lines for the shell. Just made them, pop out, stand out a little bit more. Very easy, very simple project. The entire thing probably took, an hour and a half. Please check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. Be sure to check out our other how-to videos. And if you like this video, I ask that you please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel.